are live, guys. Hey, everybody.
Hi.
Welcome back. We are here another Friday night with Persian and the poet.
Yes.
Who is here? Hello. Hi. Mitra, where are you? Kojai Mitra. Yes, so another Friday for me and Cameron, and we're still in Melbourne in lockdown, and still 2 weeks left.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hey, سلام میترا جونم، چطوری عزیزم؟ خوبی؟ Yeah, so we are in lockdown, people around the world in Melbourne, and we just, and it's really good. I like it. Honestly, tonight I get stressed about life, but the thing is, I should say that. But I should say that, like, you know, it's so good because I put my makeup, I feel so pretty, and I wear the clothes, and I do not have shoes though. Because you can see just upside of me. And it's good. It's good just you feel like, oh, you are alive, and you still can you just wear your makeup and stuff. So
I think otherwise you can just bum around in your PJs all day and not do...
and dye your hair and just like, you know, just do the basic things which قربونت برم میترا جونم، مرسی که اومدی امشب. Who else is here? Put your hands up.
Put your hands up.
Put your hands up.
Oh,
Put
yes.
your hands up. Kate. Oh, Kate. Hi, how are you, Kate?
Hi, Kate.
Oh, long time no see. Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining us tonight. So we're still waiting for a few people, and we try to get not drunk, to just to get a bit more relaxed with drinking.
What are you drinking?
Shame on me, it's Rumi's night, but I'm drinking whiskey.
Right. What, because we should be drinking wine?
Yeah, we should.
Right.
Yeah. Definitely.
Okay. All right.
Basically, we don't need to drink tonight because Rumi's stuff is all about connecting to the God and the connection and loving God. So, which is not happening with wine.
Right. Okay.
It's happening with dancing, music, and poetry.
Wow. Yeah.
So, salam amethyst. Salam, merci اومدی عزیزم.
Well, we've got a few viewers in here, so maybe we'll start.
Yeah.
And I'll do the official welcoming. So, welcome to the Persian and the poets. And then we clap. Yeah. Here we are. I'm actually drinking fortified wine, and you've got whiskey. So let's cheers it. Okay, cheers.
Cheers.
Yay.
Cheers, guys.
And so we've got, as usual, 2 poems that we're going to do. One original of mine that Ramak has just finished the translation of. And you're happy with it? You're happy with the translation?
I'm really happy with translation. And sorry, I'm going to say hello to your
yeah.
brother, Stuart.
Oh, Stuart. Yes. Hi, Stu.
Yeah, and cheers.
Oh, and Anne.
Love you,
Hi,
cheers.
Anne.
I missed you.
Hi.
Anne, okay. Nice to meet you.
Now, because as we get going, we may not say hello to everyone because otherwise it breaks the flow a little bit. But,
especially during when we are sharing poems.
Exactly.
So apology because we cannot say anything. We try to be just like focus on what we're doing. Okay.
Yeah. So one poem of mine that Ramak has done the translation of, and then we're going to do one poem of Rumi. Now, in Western world, he's known as Rumi, but in Iran, what is Rumi usually known as? Yeah,
so Rumi, his full name actually, Muhammad Jalaluddin Muhammad Balkhi.
Okay.
معروف به مولانا.
Right. Okay. So what
Jalaluddin Muhammad Rumi معروف به مولانا.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm just like, what
That's
I say? Balkhi.
That's his full name.
Yeah, Jalaluddin Muhammad Rumi.
Okay. And
so
what
he's famous. We call
No. It's to answer my question. What is he known as? What do you call him?
Oh,
because you don't ever say him the full name.
Yeah, we call him Maulana in Iran.
Maulana.
So,
okay.
Yes.
Okay. Because that's not a name that's familiar to a lot of. I mean, maybe people who really know Rumi might know him as Maulana, but mostly it's Rumi. That's what we know Rumi as.
But it's totally Maulana for us, not Rumi. But you know, it's Rumi, but it's Maulana. But I think maybe it's a easier pronunciation in Western culture, so it doesn't matter Rumi or Maulana, both the same person. So.
But if you hear Maulana, we're talking about Rumi. If you hear Rumi, we're talking about Maulana. And we're just going to do one of his. It's a ghazal. If you're not familiar with that, that is a form of poem, much like you've got sonnets, you've got villanelles, you've got limericks, and a ghazal is a type of poem. And Rumi wrote ghazals, but he also wrote rubai.
Rubai and Masnavi, which
Yeah.
is his Masnavi actually is so famous, which is contain 6 books, and yeah, that's a really famous
But
one.
is that poetry or is that stories?
It's more like, yeah, no, it's still because Masnavi is a form of poem as well.
Oh, okay, it is a
but
form
the
of
way,
poem.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So the way he's saying that, he's just more storytelling
Okay.
through his book Masnavi. So,
Okay.
yeah, and I should say that about ghazal, not
Yeah.
ghazal.
Ghazal. Oh, yeah. Ghazal. Yeah, but we don't even say that in English, so
Yeah,
Like-
like cock-a-doodle-doo, you can say.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. So ghazal is, yeah, as Cameron said, is actually it contains a series of poems of couplets, which is they really have actually individual meaning, but the whole couplets, they refer to the poem and the same theme. So
Yeah. So basically, they're like a series of independent little poems
Yeah.
that add up to a complete experience, which is the entire poem. So, and
Absolutely.
in English, we'd call that a suite of poems. So a suite of poems that link together add up to an entire experience of one piece. So,
that's right. So, and it's
Yeah.
rhythmic, so has got
Rhythmic.
rhyme. Yeah, which is interesting. Now after we sharing the poem, we will talk about that. But you know, in Farsi, in English translation, like when I go to Pinterest or I Google Rumi in English, it's amazing because you know he's got so many things which is like, I'm like, this is not from Rumi. It doesn't
Yeah,
sound
right.
Rumi for me, because Rumi is really like, you know, the original Rumi for me is so rhythmic and has got rhyme in his poetry. But the translation in English is more like, you know, it's just, it can be nice, but it's so simple.
yeah. Yeah.
And we will talk about that later if you are interested, about the translation of his poems
Yeah.
in English.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that. But before that, the first thing we're going to share, as always, is a poem from Cameron Simmons,
Yeah, that's right.
which I translated in Farsi.
Yeah.
And there we go. I hope you enjoy it.
So this poem is called Come Into Me. Come into me. Not in the way a man comes into a woman. Come into me as only a woman can. As only you can into me. With dark chocolate eyes melted by the scorching heat of desire seeping into the gaps between my rusted armor. With lover hips swinging past my fear-thin defenses. Come into me as only a woman can. I open my mouth to your tongue, Farsi, washing over me like magic spells. Enter me as I enter you. Yes, yes, yes. Look, a tiny bird in the cage of my heart is held, hovering by the steady, strong wind of your devotion. Listen, it's singing a song I've never heard before, a welcoming song, full of wellness and coming. And this song cannot be unsung. Come in. Come in. Come into me as only a woman can, as only you can into me.
That was so beautiful. That was so emotional. And beautiful. And yeah, so here is Farsi translation. I hope enjoy it. Those people, they do not know Farsi. به درونم بیا، به درونم بیا، به مانند تنها تویی که میتواند درونم باشد. با چشمان شکلاتی تیرت که با گرمای مهیب میل ذوب شده، به رخنه‌های جوشن زنگ زده من رسوخ کن. با چشمان شکلاتی تیرت که با گرمای مهیب میل ذوب شده، به رخنه‌های جوشن زنگ زده من رسوخ کن. و با نوسان عاشقانه کفلهایت دهشت‌های کوچک مرا تسخیر کن. به درونم بیا، به مانند تنها زنی که میتواند. دهانم را باز میکنم برای زبان فارسیت که مرا به سان هجایی سحرانگیز مستور کرده. مرا به درونت راه بده، آنسان که من به درونت میآیم. آری آری آری. نگاه کن، نگاه کن، پرنده نحیف در قفس سینم جا گرفته، معلق در هوا، در بادی سهمگین از دلدادگی تو. گوش کن، پرنده کوچک آواز میخواند، آوازی که نشنیدم، آواز خوش آمد گویی مملو از سرخوشی و سلامتی، آوازی که سروده نشده. بیا، فقط بیا.
That's so beautiful.
I get so emotional with this poem.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Like I heard Salamati there. Is that right? Did he say Salamati? I mean, I just...
No, it wasn't.
Oh, it must have sounded... It was sounded...
سهمگین سینه.
Just at the end there, I thought it sounded like Salamati.
Oh, you're right, actually. آواز خوش آمدگوی مملو از سرخوشی و سلامتی.
Yeah, so, I mean, I know Salamati as a cheers, but like, what does it mean in that context?
Health. Like...
And so is that, what bit is that saying? I'm trying to link it with my original poem. So is it after the birds singing?
آواز گوش کن. Where's the list? Listen. Blah, blah,
Listen,
blah, blah, blah,
singing.
Song of...
A welcoming song of wellness and coming?
Yeah, that's right. Wellness.
Wellness. So it's
That's
like, that's
right.
the Salamati.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Because when I listen... You know, there's just a few words I know. You know, of course, suddenly when you go Farsi, I'm like, oh, I know exactly where it's at now.
I know.
Yeah, so, but otherwise...
It's scary
and
when
then,
I'm he doesn't know.
And then Ari as well, like Ari is...
Ari means,
yes.
yes.
Yes,
Ari,
that's right.
Ari,
so I knew that a little
yes,
bit.
Yes,
so
yes.
it's nice for me to try and just link these two things in my mind together as I hear them.
Yeah. So that was such a beautiful poem of you, Cameron. And I'm not saying that because I love you. I'm saying that because that was so beautiful.
Yeah.
And I feel so connected to this poem. And I had a really great time during translation of this poem.
That's so nice. Well, then for me, I mean, this was pretty much one of the first poems I wrote to you. I think it was my third poem that I wrote to you.
I
so
think,
it was
yeah,
pretty
I think
early
so,
on.
yeah.
And yeah, I'm really happy with it. And I did, one thing that I do is once I get the Farsi version, we put it in Google Translate. And also by then I can, with the Google Translate, it's often a very bad translation, but at least I can sort of tell whether Ramak has got the right intent. I can sort of see, whether she's understood it or not. So the thing that, but
because
sometimes
the metaphors and stuff can be tricky sometimes. Yeah.
But then sometimes some of the lines that come out of the Google translation, I sort of quite like. They're sort of funny. So like in my poem, it has, with lover hips swinging past my fear-thin defenses. The Google translation of the Farsi version comes out with the romantic swing of your buttocks, conquer my little horrors. And I just thought that was like,
It's so bad. It's so daggy.
well, I
actually.
sort
Like,
of, but at the
I
same
didn't say
time,
that, though.
I quite like it, you know, with the romantic
butt,
swing of your
okay.
buttocks, conquer my little horrors. So
I didn't say that, okay?
no, but like,
Can you prove it, guys?
that's the Google Translate.
Iranians.
That's right. And even just at the very end, instead of saying "come into me," it says "come on, just come on." Like there's something really like "come on," like "come on."
Yeah, it's funny with Google Translate because what am I doing during the translating his poems? I put it in Google Translate first, and it does give me a roughly idea, which I know the idea actually, but it does just like put it in the sentences and give me the idea, which is
Yeah.
sometimes is so funny because you know
Yeah.
Google Translate built to just translate the formal and informal and simple stuff. So and it just get confused. What the hell are they talking about? Like
Yeah.
this is so
Well, also
yeah.
because I mean, poems
much.
use grammar in a different way. They use form in a different way. So often, Google Translate just doesn't deal with it, you know. And and also, I think you were saying from the Persian perspective, you use more poetic words that Google is just not familiar with in the same way.
Yeah. If you say like,
Yeah.
"Hi, my name is Ramek," it
Yeah.
can translate it properly.
Yeah.
But if you use the other words and a bit like the complicated words
Yeah.
to
Actually,
introduce yourself, no way.
it doesn't
So,
work.
Yeah.
One little story. I wanted to write a note in Farsi to a book that I was giving to Ramak, and you know, I just had to put it into Google Translate because I was like, you know, and because it's in a different script, I can't really check it. So I just put it in. I'm like, I hope it comes across okay. And so just it was a little love note, just like an inscription to the book, and I printed it out and put it in the front of the book. And she was like, "Oh, that's really beautiful. I just don't understand the last line." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, why? What?" It's like really beautiful. I like what you're saying. The last line is really weird. It sort of ends with contemporary. No, what was it? No. I've forgotten what it is.
I can't say it in Farsi. I can't remember what was even in Farsi.
Complementary and alternative medicine. That's what it was. So it signed off.
طب جایگزین طب
Yeah.
yeah.
So basically,
Whatever.
it's signed off as contemporary and alternative medicine.
So he's a
So basically what I'd done in Google Translate is I'd put in my name, you know, Love Cam. And it interpreted CAM not as my name, but as an acronym for contemporary and alternative medicine.
So you are the yeah.
So
you are that.
maybe that could be my
Takhallus.
tahallus.
Takhallus, yeah.
Do you want to explain a tahallus?
Takhallus actually is a name Iranian poets normally like they do it contemporary poets too, but most
I've
of
seen
the
it.
time like like the most
more
classic
traditional,
and classic poets, but they still do it. Like they put this name on themselves to just if they want to be unknown, or even if they want to just sometimes mention their names in their poetry. And I was thinking,
and in English, you describe it as a pen name or a nom de plume. Yeah, so it's or maybe even it's like a hip hop name, like your artist name that you use.
it can be like as an artist you can have that name anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because so one of the things about the ghazal is that the traditional ones, the final couplet often mentioned the name of the poet, so it actually had the tahallus in it. Is that
Takhallus.
So?
Yeah, no, it's such a really hard word, and you're doing really good. I'm really proud of you.
No. So the
Takhallus.
ghazal often had the tahallus in it, which I sort of reading it when you read it in English, it's often a bit weird because suddenly it's like it uses the author's name in there. It's very like hip hop. I mean, hip hop does it all
But
the time.
it's so different vibe in Farsi,
that's
so,
right.
which is interesting.
Yeah.
So let's move into Mr. Rumi.
Yeah. All right. So, do you want to give any basics, like
Maybe
bit of history?
I don't know. Maybe when we finish, we can do that. Or...
All right. Let me get the poem ready. Okay. Rumi. Here we go. So this is a ghazal.
This is
by Rumi.
Yeah, yep.
Should we just do the poem?
There we go. So.
Okay. Let's do it.
با من صنما دل یک دل کن گر سر ننهم آنگه گله کن.
I want to be one with you, my love.
مجنون شدم از بحر خدا از بحر خدا زان زلف خوشت یک سلسله کن.
I'm like a madman. Tie me with the curls of your hair.
30 پاره به کف در چله شدی 30 پاره منم ترک چله کن.
But if I do not give myself completely, then complain.
مجهول مرو باقول مرو زنهار سفر با قافله کن.
You have withdrawn with the holy book in your hands. Come and read the book I hold inside my heart. Learn to walk with those who know the way.
ای مطرب دل زان نغمه خوش این مغز مرا پرمشغله کن.
You are the musician of my heart. Fill me with your divine music.
ای زهره و مه زان شعله ور دو چشم مرا دو مشعله کن.
You are radiant like Venus, brighter than the moon. Charge me with your glance, so my eyes can shine with your love.
ای موسی جان شبان شده ای بر تار برا ترک گله کن.
Can't you see that your soul is like that of Moses?
نعلین ز دو پا بیرون کن و رو در دشت تبا پا آبله کن.
Do not remain a simple shepherd. Leave the flock behind and walk barefoot on the sacred ground of Mount Sinai.
تکیه گه تو حق شد نه عصا انداز عصا وان را یله کن.
Your cane cannot support you on this path. You can only lean on truth.
Beautiful. Yes, and the thing I want to share with you guys, before actually, Nima I know is watching us, which is like, Salam Nima Junam, merci.
And Diana, hello.
Diana, hi Diana. And before, I can't remember who dropped a comment, but thank you so much, guys. I'm so sorry. We're so sorry we cannot just back to you immediately. And yeah, just, you know, it's just like we try to be professional. So, yeah, it's interesting. This poem is the thing when we decided with Cameron to share a poem from Maulana Rumi, it was a bit challenging for me because he's such a big person and, you know, he's got reputation in Western culture. And I'm like, oh, should we really do that? Because, you know, just like everybody has idea about Maulana. But yeah, and we couldn't find the really right translation of his poems.
Yeah.
And that was the thing, at least for me.
Yeah.
And as I researched, we realized that recently the famous poet who did his, who translated his poems in English was a poet from America, Coleman Barks.
Okay.
And the Coleman Barks, yeah, he actually introduced Rumi to the Western culture. But when I went to his translation of his poems, I realized that actually this is so pulp fiction.
Pulp fiction.
Yeah, it's so pulp fiction. And it's
like pop. I don't know if
Just
pulp
made
fiction
it-
makes sense, but it's more like pop versions.
Pop version.
Populist versions.
Yeah, just
of this.
made it really simple to
Right.
the popularity of people can
Yeah.
understand it.
Okay.
But the depths of Rumi's poems is not about that, unfortunately. You know, in the end of the day, he did a really good job because, you know, at least he introduced Rumi to Western culture, which like he translated massive poems of him. But in the same time, it's such a pity for me because that's not Rumi for me. That those translation, you know, when you find it in Pinterest or like,
Right, yeah.
is not him. But
Yeah.
I don't know why he interpreted in that.
Yeah, I was thinking,
You
but
know?
well, I was thinking about this because, like, the from what I've heard you talk about, Rumi,
Yeah.
is that it is so innately rhythmic. Like, they're always rhyming couplets or they ghazals. You know, he is innately poet and always uses that rhyme and rhythm.
Yeah.
But yet in English, often we don't get any of that rhyme, or sometimes there is rhyme. But so I was thinking the equivalent would be, now this is a really sort of the wrong type of example, but Dr. Seuss is completely known for rhyming
Yeah.
poetry, right?
That's
so it's
right.
like if Dr. Seuss was
Okay.
translated into Farsi without any rhyme. And you would go, but that's not Dr. Seuss, because Dr. Seuss rhymes, and he rhymes all the time. And so you might get the content of Dr. Seuss, but if you're not getting the rhyme, then actually you're not capturing one of the core essences of what Dr. Seuss is about. So from what I've been hearing from you,
Yeah.
it's like that's what you miss. When you read it in English, it's like, where is that intrinsic factor of Rumi, which is so much to do with rhyme and rhythm? And because the other thing I know
Yeah.
about Rumi is that, I mean, rhyme and rhythm is actually a really important part, because part of his spiritual practice, it is about like trying to connect with God through poetry, but through dance and through music. And of course, that is all rhythmic. The dance and the music is innately rhythmic. And so it's completely linked together. That he's
Yeah.
actually, his poetry is rhythmic because the dance is rhythmic, because the music is rhythmic, and they're all linked together.
That's right. And you know, Rumi using music, dancing, and poetry as a path to connect to the God. You know,
Yeah.
last week we were talking, we shared about Khayyam and talking about his poetry, and I was saying that, like, you know, his poetry is about like drink wine. Wine, it means wine, okay, not God. But Rumi, it does say that. Rumi, it does say that about like connecting to the God. He does talk about connecting
Yeah.
to the God, which is Sufism come from that part, and you know,
Yeah.
all of these things happen in the
So I'll
world
just say for
after
people
him.
that maybe they know, but like the Sufism is sort of the mystic version of Islam. So and essentially Rumi was the father of an entire I don't know whether you'd
Absolutely.
call it like religion or sect, really. So what are they? Is it the Mevlani? Does that sound right?
What's that?
The people who follow Rumi, the Mevlani. I think it's something like that.
Maybe the pronunciation.
Yeah, maybe it's different.
Help me,
What
guys.
do you call people that follow Rumi?
Sufis.
They're just Sufis, okay.
Yeah, or
But I know there's an order that, you know, do the Sema in
They do
in Turkey
Sema,
and
yeah.
stuff. Like, it's a really
yeah. So what's his poetry come from is because he was reaching God through dancing, music, and poetry. And what it happened, like Sama came from because of his poetry and dancing with the special music to reach a God. And that's act for me as an Iranian has got like the not really true interpretation in Western culture, because you know the music he was using, the music is all like Iranian, or I can say big Persia, because
Yeah.
he was an Iranian, okay, he was Persian. I'm Iranian, but he was Persian, which is like Persia. It was a really big area, which was like including even Turkey, even Afghanistan. Oh, sorry, don't kill me. Even yeah. And yeah, Shokufe saying something. Oh, sorry, Shokufe Jan. نمیتونیم الان به جواب بدیم ولی کن ادامه میدیم. Sorry. Yeah, what I was saying now?
I don't know. Oh, you were saying how he was. So Rumi actually like was born in Afghanistan, but he actually lived a lot of his life in what we now call Turkey. But he was a Persian because it was all part of the Persian Empire.
Yeah, he was speaking truly Farsi,
Yeah.
and you
He
know,
was Persian.
in his poetries, you can see some Turkish, some Arabic, even some Greece, which is like really interesting, but
Right.
just a little bit. But for me, like it was interesting when we were talking about that, because sometimes when you read the books or Google the people fighting together, like, oh, he's Iranian, no, he's from he's Turkish, or he's not belong anybody. He belongs to everybody, anybody to can understand him and get connected to his poetry. So so all of his poetry was about connecting to the God through these three simple things: music, poetry, and dancing, which Sama, I actually, maybe I explained that for those people they don't know. Sama is a kind of really like, what do you call it? Like, how can I explain Sama?
Oh, well, basically, it's a dance that is designed to connect you with the divine and connect you with God. So
Yeah, okay.
it's not like full free dance. And most Westerners would know those people as the whirling dervishes. So
Darwish
you
or
call
Darwish.
yeah, we call them dervishes, and they're known for the spinning dance. So
That's right.
And I don't know, as far as what I've read, there might be other dances, but really that is the
No,
focus.
Sama is a famous and the main one, and a spiritual dance, as Mitra was saying. Yeah, the
Yeah.
spiritual dance, which is unfortunately, like, not recently, in the past couple of years, it's forbidden in Iran,
Oh,
because
really?
Maulana in Iranian culture is like a god. Like, it's like his books, his Masnavi and his books is like a Quran in Iran. So obviously the Islamic government, they don't like him, and they start to just they squeeze the communities, and
Oh, really?
and push the people they follow Maulana and Rumi, and because
Wow.
it's not good for them.
Wow.
And this Darawish, which is Sufis and Darwishes in Iran, they
Yeah.
really in a big trouble now, because
Wow.
they are not they do not believe in Quran. They believe in Rumi, which is like he's got his
Yeah.
own Quran and
Wow.
the way of connecting to the God, because Quran is the way, is a book, a holy book to connect to the God. But now Rumi is just, he kind of like, in poetry world, he brought his book to connect people to the God.
And when I was reading all about Rumi, and for me, dance has been really important. That when my marriage was ending like 5 years ago nearly, I was having terrible anxiety, and I was really dysfunctional in so many ways. And I found dance as the most beautiful and powerful therapy I could do. And so for me, like, I don't know if I'd quite call it a spiritual practice, but it was an incredibly profound practice that I found. And so reading that, and interestingly, sometimes I find it hard to connect really embodied actions like poetry to like dance to poetry. But for me, it's been really interesting to read about Rumi, that he connected dance and poetry. And then often I was reading that often these things that he was saying were often said while he was dancing. I don't know if...
Oh, yeah, that's right.
that
Yeah,
he would
yeah.
dance, and he would be speaking as he danced from that, what they call ecstatic state, from that God divine state.
Yeah.
And so
And
for
his
me...
Masnavi actually is a book for Sufis to follow it, to get connected to the God.
Right.
It's a pathway to get connected to the God. To the God, and they teaching from that book to how we can get really, how we can, finding love from God actually, and which is really interesting. Is like, and this person was living like 700 years ago or something.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it's another story. But for me, like, it's different from Khayyam. But because Khayyam was, for me, his poetry is totally about like, take your time, and everything is gonna be, nothing is gonna be permanent. So
Right.
take your time and drink your wine. But in Rumi's poetry, for me, he doesn't talk about that. He just say like, everything is about God and loving God, and maybe just really short thing talking about like his relationship to his lover.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So, and that's maybe it's a really longer story. Maybe we can leave it. But
Well, yeah, because we'll probably do Rumi again. Like, I mean, there's
I
so
think we
much.
should
We've done
do
one
Rumi
little
again.
poem, and he's just got vast amounts. I thought maybe, because we've been going for half an hour, I thought maybe I will share with you my favorite Rumi poem. Now, I've loved this. Probably about a year ago, I discovered this. Well, actually, no, it's nearly exactly a year, because
Oh,
yeah. So
yeah,
basically,
yeah.
I didn't know Ramak, but I was the designer for this local magazine. And they always have a feature artist. And Ramak Bamzar was the feature artist. And you know what? This you were wearing in the photo shoot. So in the photo shoot, you were wearing that. And so as the designer, I had to like feature her and double page spread, and also the cover and back cover were to be her artworks. So I had to go through this photographer. I was like, oh, who's this photographer? Checking out all her artwork. And yeah, of course,
She's cute.
yeah, well, she's like, man, she knows how to take photos, you know, so like all these gorgeous photos. And there are a couple that I really loved that used mirrors in a really interesting way. And so I thought, I actually want to use those photos for the front cover and the back cover. And on the back cover, I could really do what I wanted. And because they had these beautiful mirrors in amongst nature, I thought it'd be great to, you know, okay, so, you know, Ramak's from Iran, and I'm like, oh, maybe I can find a quote that really fits in from Rumi, because I knew Rumi was a Persian poet. So I just sort of did this general search on Google, you know, Rumi quote with mirror. And it came up with this one poem that has stayed with me so much. But so what I did was I used that as a quote on the back cover of the book. And I remember you got back to me saying, oh, that's a lovely quote. You know, it's a beautiful
definitely.
choice.
But I
And-
wasn't believe it's from the right translation from Rumi. But
Well,
it
it's
was
an English.
beautiful in English.
It's an English translation.
Yeah, definitely.
So we actually couldn't find the original Farsi version, and the first part we could definitely confirm was Rumi. Second part we couldn't exactly even confirm it was Rumi, but we're pretty sure it is. But we couldn't find the original Farsi.
Yeah.
But it has been a really. It still lives with me, this poem, and it's so full of mystery. And so maybe this is what we'll sort of finish with, perhaps. So here it is. This is my favorite Rumi poem in English. We are the mirror, as well as the face in it. We are tasting the taste of eternity this minute. We are pain and what cures the pain. We are the sweet cold water and the jar that pours. Soul of the world, no life nor world remain, no beautiful women or men longing, only this ancient love circling the holy black stone of nothing, where the lover is the loved, the horizon, and everything within it.
It's just amazing. And yeah, in the end, Cameron he knows something in English from Rumi, which
Oh,
yeah,
do you want me to finish with that?
yeah.
Okay,
Please
so
finish with that.
look,
and then-
I don't speak Farsi whatsoever, but you know, I love poetry, and I know a few words. I've just picked up a few words here and there, but I thought I'd love to try and learn a poem in Farsi. So Ramak selected a short one for me, because I said, just give me a short one. So you found this short one, and it's a Rumi poem. So the story about this, the first time I did it for
focus.
what? Yeah,
Oh,
I was just going to say the first time I did it for some friends, Farsi speakers, they were like, "Yeah, we didn't really understand
What
that."
are you talking about?
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, come on!" So hopefully, you will understand me. So here we go. All right, here is my First poem that I've ever learnt in Farsi. Here we go. Oh man, now I'm stressing out. Like Chashmaned. Yeah, okay. Here we go. Chashmaned Rababand. Ashak Shor Hemanjibeman.
چشمانت را ببند.
Oh, you have to repeat it.
و همانجا بمان, which
Oh.
is close your eyes, fall in love, and stay there.
Okay. What did I do wrong? Let me just try. Chashmaned Rababand.
یک, close your eyes,
Ashak Shor
fall in love,
Hemanjibeman.
and stay there. Thank you so much, guys, for watching us. And I'm going to say hello to Lisa and...
Oh, yes, I saw Lisa.
Oh,
and
the
Marula,
girl-
thank you for
Marula,
coming
thank
and
you-
enjoying
thank
the
you so much
night.
for your
Mitra,
support.
you've been so supportive. Thank you, Mitra. Look, we can't see all the people on the screen here.
Yeah, so we are sorry, but...
And John and Ches.
It's me. Actually, it's Ches, yeah.
Yes, hello.
John
Hi.
is watching news.
Yeah.
Sorry, John. But but thank you so much, guys, for watching us. We really hope you enjoy it. And this is just us. We try to share
Yeah.
poetry and love and stories
Yeah.
on Friday nights during the pandemic lockdown in Melbourne.
Hey, I will do like the final thing of like, if you're liking this, check out the podcast, because what I do is I basically condense this and put some beautiful music with the poems, and it actually comes up really gorgeously. I'm really happy with it. So chase up the podcast, and also recommend the podcast particularly to friends that you think will like it and engage with it. So they're poetry lovers, Persians, lovers of Persians, lovers of Persian poetry, all of the above.
Yeah, because this is actually going to be a podcast, and I hope you guys enjoy it.